Hey guys, how are you? Okay, I'm just gonna move my chair a little bit. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I'm just a little bit under the weather, but I decided to do this video anyways. I don't know, I just have so many things to share that I want to share that I feel like making videos once a week is just not enough. So yeah, anyways, so today this video is going to be for you guys, okay? It's going to be for gentlemen, right? And all of you guys out there. I love you so much. You guys are my weakness, that's for sure. Always have been. um, I'm going to make a video, okay, about how you can find the right woman for you, right? And what the right woman will not care about. Okay. All right, guys. So I'm going to give you a pretty good advice here, right? I think you should definitely consider about taking it, right? And I think a lot of guys do make this mistake, because I guess they haven't learned or they haven't been given the skills to kind of heal themselves, right? So they kind of like rely on other people or women, right, in particular, to heal them, right? Because women, ladies, us, right, depending on the woman, of course, but we can be very healing for guys, right? And the reason being is because uh, you know socially, right, guys are not really allowed to discuss their feelings, right? You guys are allowed to express anger, right? And that's about it, right? You guys are very limited as far as emotional expression goes, right? So you can't really express yourself, and what ends up happening is you guys end up holding a lot of emotions in, right? And in turn experiencing a lot of mental and physical problems as a result, right? Statistics indicate that guys are more likely to um, experience mental health problems, right? Guys are more likely to commit suicide, right? And those are very sad statistics, but unfortunately it's the case, right? And that's because most guys can't really, they don't have anyone really to talk to about these problems, right? So when a good woman comes along, and hopefully she's a good woman, right? Then you guys, it's very healing for you, right? Because you can finally speak to someone, right, who understands you. You can get all of those like emotions out, right, out of you, and kind of begin to heal, right? Anyways, back to the negative emotions, back to starting a relationship when you're feeling really low, okay? That's a really, really big mistake, you guys, because, and I've been in these situations before, right? Anyways, I've been in 3 serious relationships, right? And the first one I've met when I was feeling really, really low in my life, really like extremely depressed, right? So no bueno, not good, okay? The second one I've met when I was in a really, really good state, when I was in my university, right? He just came into one of my classes, right? My new classes, and we just kind of saw each other, and bam, right? And that's when it began, right? And the third one I also met when I was, I actually met him earlier, right? But he didn't ask me out. It's funny, right? Um, he didn't ask me out until I was feeling at my lowest, basically. It's kind of like a lion. Well, I can't call him a lion. Kind of like a wolf, right? Going after herd sheep, right? And so that's kind of exactly what happens, okay, you guys? So, the third relationship, right? Me and my second ex just broke up, right? And I was feeling very sad about that because I didn't really want to break up with him, right? I just kind of felt like we needed to go our separate ways, at least for a while, for various reasons, basically, right? So I didn't really want to let him go, but I felt like I loved him enough to do that, right? And so anyways, so back to the third relationship, right? So as soon as I got out of the second relationship, I was just in so much pain. I was so hurt that I just needed to like um to have like anyone by my side, basically, right? So that's how I ended up getting into the third relationship, right? He kind of like spotted me at my lowest, and ironically he ended up asking me out, right? And my intuition was, of course, completely against it, right? So once again, listen to your intuition, guys. I know, guys, your intuition is just as strong as women's. Okay, it is not true. What you thought is not true. It's there. There's no such thing as a woman's intuition. Guys have an intuition too, and it's just as strong as females too. All right, you guys also are emotional creatures, sometimes even more emotional than females, because you're conditioned not to express those emotions, right? And when you suppress something, it just blows up, right? It comes out like stronger than ever, right? So I would say, like, just keep in mind, guys, that you have your emotions for a reason, right? They don't make you a weakling. They don't make you into a weak man. You just need to learn how to express them correctly, right? Anyway, so back to when you're feeling at your low, right? So when you're feeling at your lowest, if, whether you're depressed, whether you're not feeling good, whether you're just like very lonely, right? Maybe, so whatever gets your vibration down, right? Whatever like lowers your energy, when you're at that state, just keep away from relationships, guys. That's my advice. Don't get into a relationship when you're in a low state, because you're gonna attract someone that's also at a low vibration, right? So you're going to attract a person that's not good for you. And that can be a disordered person, right? Or a person with a personality disorder, right? Perhaps a narcissist, right? Maybe she's going to be a narcissist. Maybe she's going to be a psychopath, right? Or maybe she's going to be depressed, very depressed herself, right? And if you're in that kind of bad state only temporarily, if that's not your like typical state, right, then you're going to really end up regretting getting into a relationship with that kind of a person, okay? All right, guys, so the right woman for you will not care about any of those things, okay? A little bit later on, I will tell you what she will care about, all right? And what you should be working on, okay, if you want to meet the right woman, okay? I'm going to say something really powerful here, right now. So, a high quality woman, right? And we're gonna go into what that actually means, right? Um, High quality woman will not want a low quality man. Okay, she's not gonna go after. She's not gonna. She's not going to want to be with a low quality man, right? Because like attracts like, right? And when a woman does a lot of work on herself, right? When she has done the inner work to heal, right? When she forgave others for hurting her, right? Maybe her ex-boyfriends, maybe her family, and so on, right? Whenever she if she's working on herself in every way, right? Maybe she's getting like stronger in the gym, right? Maybe she's pushing like herself in every direction, right? Like whether it's personal, spiritual, financial, she's on top of it, right? And also, of course, if she's working on her relationship with herself too, right? If she has done all of that work, she's going to know her value. She's gonna know her worth, right? And she's going to be able to. First of all, she knows what she wants now, right? And when she spots a low volume man, she's not gonna want to be with him, okay? And so it's going to yeah. And the fact of the matter, right, guys, is that before you get into a relationship with another woman, right, you need to build a good relationship with yourself, right? And I already made a video about that, so go ahead and check it out if you like, right? So yeah, before going into any relationship, try to build a good relationship with yourself, and that's going to help you meet a high quality person, okay, a like-minded person, right? Your energy is going to match, right, and you're going to connect in every way, right? And you guys are going to have an amazing relationship, right? A relationship that is supportive, right? That is loving, and that comes from the heart, not from the ego, right? Which is a fear-based relationship, right? So there will be no kind of unhealthy dependency on one another, so you guys are going to um, depend on one another for all the right reasons, right? It's not going to be because you need her to support you financially, or because you need her to heal you, or because she's got the goodies, right? Because you're horny and you need sex, right? So once again, okay, and get this through your head, okay? A high value woman is not going to be attracted to a low value man, okay? So if you are a low value man, okay, then you need to start working on yourself before getting into a relationship with a high quality woman, right? A woman that's really worth your time. I would say that. Of course, even like, um, look, every relationship teaches you something, right? And that lesson is more often than not, or at least for me it was, right, is learning to love yourself, right? So actually, by getting out of my toxic relationships, right, I chose myself, right? Each and every time I was like, okay, if I don't get out of this relationship, right, if I just continue staying in it, I'm just gonna, all of my self worth, right, all of my confidence, all of my inner qualities will be completely destroyed. Basically, my soul will be gone, right? And so, of course, I ended up choosing myself, right? I was like, okay, either all of that gets destroyed, right, and I no longer kind of exist, right, or I get out of this relationship, right? So, and of course, I chose myself, right? And so those relationships taught me that, that I need to value myself, right? I need to love myself, and not the external relationship that I'm in, right? Okay, guys, so what will the woman for you, or a high quality woman, will not care about? She will not care about your big pockets, okay? She's not gonna, um, if you're working on your inner qualities, right? If you're a consistent and a hardworking person, right? If you're smart, if you're always learning, always growing, right? Then she's not gonna care about how much money you have. Okay, I know it's like a stereotype that's going around, that all women care about is your money and your resources, right? But that is not true, guys. I've met a lot of guys with a lot of money in my life, right? Even like, believe it or not, and I hate to say it, right? But like, as an attractive woman, right? You always get like offered all these like deals with the devil, kind of like opportunities, right? Where guys just kind of offer you a lot of money to either be with them, right, to have a relationship with them, or to sleep with them, right? And anyway, so I've had a lot of those opportunities, and I never took it, and sometimes, I had the opportunity to kind of get to know people with a lot of money, right? And I did. And I ended up discovering that most of them were very insecure about themselves. They lacked a lot of inner qualities that I valued, right, as a person. And so, they all they had was, money, right? They were financially, kind of like financially, free, perhaps, right? But spiritually poor. The only thing that they had was their money, right? And so, the right woman is not gonna care about that per se, right? Of course, if you do have money, right, it could be a reflection of your inner qualities as well. But in most cases, I find that, a lot of people who do have that money, they either, sold their soul to get it, right? In other words, they did things that went completely against their values, their beliefs, right? um, or they just, they put everything on the back burner, right? um, all of the spiritual development, right, that they could have, had, right? Or, um, everything basically went on the back burner, right? Everything was secondary after, the finances, right? The material things. So they put the um, material, kind of aspects first, right? They placed money above everything else. They made money their god, right? And they forgot about everything else that's, important, even more important than the money, right? And so, don't do that. Don't do that. Really, think about what your priorities are, right? And, because, a lot of times we think that money will make us happy, right? But really it doesn't. After a certain amount of money, right? Most people say, most like billionaires, millionaires say that, their happiness level kind of, it goes up a little bit, right? And then it goes to the same level, and it stays there basically, right? Or even decreases sometimes. So, don't assume that every woman will care about your money. That's not. Okay, so formal education, right? The right woman will not necessarily care about your formal education, okay? Why? Actually, I'm gonna bring this song into this now, right? From Coolio, right? Gangster's Paradise, right? And I'm an educated fool, right? With the money on my mind, right? And I love that song. It has, really powerful words, right? You can be educated, like formally educated, but you can be completely closed-minded. You can be, a fool, basically, right? Perhaps you lack knowledge. Perhaps you're an expert in one area, but everything else you just completely disregarded, right? You're not curious about life, about other people. You haven't gotten a chance to learn anything besides what you learned in school, right? And so, yeah, I think that, a formal education, it doesn't make you, smart, right? It doesn't necessarily make you intelligent, and it doesn't make you wise. Definitely doesn't make you wise. Okay. So, having a formal education, doesn't mean that you're, a lover of learning, right? Yeah, you might have learned to memorize, right? But that's about it, right? So just because you memorize certain things, right, doesn't mean that you can necessarily even apply them to real life, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that you can remember the information also, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that you really retained any of that information either, okay? A lot of students cram for their tests, right? And, whenever anything gets stored, or goes into your short-term memory, it goes out just as quickly, right? Just because you've had, formal education doesn't mean that you're a wise person. Doesn't mean that you've got, you've developed your inner qualities, right? So the right woman, will care about, your curiosity, right? She will care about, your thirst for knowledge, for your thirst for discovering who you are, right? Because we're always learning about ourselves, um, and discovering something new, right? And the right woman will care about, your thirst for the truth, right? Why are you here? Why does this information not match this information? Why? So to really be, to become a wise person, right? To become a truly independent individual, you have to be curious about everything. You have to be constantly learning, right? And not just informal schooling, right? System. You always have to question things, right? You have to question what you're told, right? Just because it's in a book doesn't mean that this information is the truth, right? Or it's correct. In a lot of cases, it isn't, right? The reason why we learned a lot of things that we learned in school, right, is because it fit someone else's agenda, right? And so we become like the victims of that information, kind of, right? Because our worldview gets it builds on that information, right? So we begin to see the world in a certain way, right? And we start believing things that maybe we shouldn't be believing, right? So anyway, so a wise person, they always question things, right? They're always learning, and their thirst for knowledge never stops, right? So that's what a high quality woman will value in a man, okay? Is that thirst for knowledge, not your certifications, I'm not gonna like get together with a guy, right, and a new guy, and ask him, listen, buddy, can I see that diploma? Do you have a PhD? Can I see your certifications? Let me just check. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. We're very compatible, dude. This is great, right? No, of course I'm not gonna do that. That is insane. All right, guys. So okay, so this one is yeah. I'm gonna tell you guys kind of a joke, and maybe it's not like, it wasn't really funny when I heard it from an acquaintance of mine, right? I stopped talking to that girl, by the way, and uh, because I realized that we weren't that similar, and I just didn't like a lot of things that she said. So our values kind of didn't align, right? Anyways, but that's not the story about her, right? But that's what she told me, and it was kind of funny. Anyway, so she said, okay, so before going into a relationship with a guy, right? Just go ahead and check his package, right? Just like slide your hand down to see if everything is okay down there, right? And she's like, I was like, yeah, exactly. That's how it goes, right? That's what you do. Uh, anyways, because that's the most important thing, right? Anyways, no, it's not. Okay, it's just a joke, right? And I found it a little bit funny, right? But at the same time, that kind of thinking is extremely shallow, right? And it comes from shallow women, right? Women that see you only as a body, right? And women that they might pretend to be spiritual, right? But by making comments like this, they're not really, right, because they only look at guys as toys, right, like toys to use, right, in the bedroom. So the bigger your thing is, right, the more pleasurable it will be for her, right? So in a way that's extremely selfish, right, and that disregards you as a human being. It disregards your essence, right? You're not your member, unless you believe that, right? You're not, yeah. And while having a guy like that, right, with a bigger member, okay, that's more. I suppose it's more pleasurable, right? But it does not define the entire experience with him, okay? if he's an asshole, if he lacks the inner qualities, right? If he's fearful, if he is negative, right? If he is um, you know unkind, right? If he lacks that thirst for knowledge, right? Then his member will mean nothing, absolutely nothing, right? Kind of like his physical appearance, same idea here, right? So the right woman will not care about your joystick, okay? She's going to that's an added bonus, right? Like I said, but it doesn't define who you are, right? So if you are an amazing person on the inside, if you've got a a heart like a gold heart, right? If you are kind, if you're smart, right? If you're wise, she's not gonna care about this, all right? She's gonna accept you for you. If you guys match, if you're vibing the same, if you've got a similar energy, right? Then she's not going to care about that at all, that physical aspect of you. She's gonna accept you for you, okay? Even with the small member, okay? Okay, so she's not gonna also care about your insecurities, okay? So if you've got any insecurities, um, as long as you're aware what your insecurities are, right, and you're willing to work on them, then that's all that she's gonna care about. Okay, no, none of us are perfect, right? We all have some kind of inner problems, right? Inner insecurities that we need to work on, right? And so she realizes that, right? And like I said, as long as you're willing to work on them, right, then that's all that matters, right? Like, for example, my second ex, right, the guy that we were best friends with, I would say he was even my soulmate, right? We he had a lot of insecurities. Okay, he used to like go through my stuff, and you know he was like, he didn't believe me a lot of the times, right? He checked my passports and things like that, so that kind of like drove me a little bit crazy, right? I really didn't like that. I didn't feel trusted, right? And in turn, I didn't really trust him too, because I was like, wait a minute, usually when we don't trust ourselves, when we're doing something wrong ourselves, right, then we kind of project those insecurities, right, onto other people. And so the other person kind of like realized this. Well, sometimes they realize this, right, which I did. And so I stopped kind of like trusting him because of that too, right? And it was really annoying too, right? Because I constantly had to tell him, like, hey, listen, I am not doing anything wrong. Please ask before you go through my stuff, right? And so on. So, yeah, insecurities are okay, right? As long as you acknowledge them, as long as you're willing to work on them. All right. Okay, guys, so any girl that cares about how many followers you have, right? How big your connections are, right? How many Instagram or Facebook friends you have, right? I think she's opportunistic, and she's most likely after something else, right? She's most likely after opportunities. Um, so be careful there, right? The right girl will not care about how many friends you have, how big your connections are, okay? In fact, I find that guys who are alone, right, who have spent enough time by themselves, right, they tend to be a lot wiser, okay, because we need that personal quiet time in order to get in touch with ourselves, right, in order to connect to our higher consciousness, higher state of being, right? We A lot of our ideas, original ideas, come when we're alone, okay? With all the noise, right, with all the connections, with all the so-called friends, right, we never get that time to truly connect to ourselves, to hear ourselves, right, to kind of hear our needs, and to address them, right? So it's kind of like all of those connections, too many friends, so-called friends, right? They're not usually real friends, right? They're all kind of a distraction, okay? And so the right girl realizes that, right? You can't have like 20 friends, true friends, like friends that will like always have your back, that will be there for you whenever you need them, right? No, that I've never met anyone like this. Let me know in the comments section if you have. I will be really, really surprised. Okay, most of us are lucky to even have one true friend, right? Anyways, guys, I have zero friends. Okay, but okay, I am my own best friend, and that's all that matters to me. Okay. And if I do meet a person that will become my best friend, right, then I will be so grateful for it. But when you have a connection with Source, right, with the higher one, um, he's your friend. Okay, that connection is your friend. You've got a connection for life, and you don't need anything else really, right? So you don't depend on external connections. Anyway, so the right woman understands this, and unless she's a user who wants to use you for your connections, she's not going to care about that. She's not. She's gonna care about your relationship with yourself, okay? Because how you treat yourself, you're more likely going to treat her the same way, or other people around you the same way. So, guys, what are the things that she will care about, okay? And of course, I already told you a lot of the things that she will care about, right? But here are the main things, okay? So, she's gonna care about your heart, okay? You know how a lot of guys, like nowadays, they're like, oh, I'm not gonna pay for her, right? Or we're gonna split 50-50, right? Well, guys, I'm sorry, okay? But to me, that shows a lack of heart, okay? It shows a lack of generosity, right? As a guy, you have to be willing to provide, right, and to kind of handle the finances, right, or at least to kind of to help out, right, when the opportunity comes, right, or when the necessity comes, right? Such as when she's pregnant, right? Or when she just gave birth, right? And she needs to rest and relax and to rejuvenate and to recover, right? So someone has to be there for her, right? Unless she's doing it on her own, such as in my case, right? But that was very difficult, guys, and doing it with a partner that takes care of the financial side of things is way, way easier, right? And anyways, by paying for your dates, right, you're showing her that you are a generous person, that you are a giving person, right? And that's wonderful. That's what most people want in their lives, is to be with someone who is giving, right? um, so yeah, and if you're very concerned about paying for your dates, right, um, then perhaps you should rethink about going on dates at all, right? If you don't like that woman enough, right, or if you're not sure about that woman, right, then you most likely went against your intuition. You chose the wrong girl to go on a date with, or you have the wrong intentions. Perhaps your intentions are just to get into her pants, right? And if that's your intention, then you deserve to also be used. I'm sorry to say this, right? But like kind of like attracts like, right? So if you're going into the dating world, or if you're going into a relationship with the wrong mindset, right, with a negative one, then you're gonna attract the same type of a person, right? You're gonna attract a woman who's gonna probably think the same way, right? Or she's just going to be so disgusted by kind of your treatment of her, right? That she will just not want another day, and that's as simple as that. All right, another thing that the woman will care about, right, is your curiosity and your intelligence, right? Do you read a lot of books, right? Do you ask a lot of questions, or do you just follow the crowd and what you're told, right? Um, she's definitely going to care about your curiosity, your knowledge of the world, right? Not just like your knowledge of physics, right? Like one of my exes, for example, he had a PhD in physics, right? And that's like pretty much the only thing that he knew. Everything besides, he just didn't know too much about, and when we spoke about certain subjects, like we just couldn't relate on any level, and it was very difficult to connect, right? Although I am a curious person, so when we spoke about physics, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I can learn here too, right? So let's talk about that. But when it came to like my things and the things that I was more interested in, right, he just couldn't keep up. He couldn't add any information, any value to our discussion, right? So yeah, and so that's another thing, right? Another thing is your how do you treat other people, right? She's definitely going to care about how you treat other people, because how you speak to about other women, right? How you treat people that seem kind of like below you, right? Like such as maybe waiters, right, or waitresses. It shows a lot about your character, right? If you are treating them poorly, right? If you speak unkindly about other women, about your exes, right? Then that's how you're going to treat her in the long run too. So, guys, another thing that she's gonna really care about is your connection that you guys share, right? And your the way that you make her feel. Okay. Um, so, supposedly, um, people will always remember how you made them feel, right? And that's the case here too, right? If you make her feel bad about herself, right, then she's not gonna want to be with you, right? So always remember that, right? How you treat others um, is definitely also a reflection of you, right? But also how you treat others, they will always kind of remember that, right? And if you treat her well, she's going to want to stay with you, right? You're not gonna have to manipulate her or control her. It will just be a natural thing, right? She will just want to stay. It's kind of like how you treat animals, right? Just think of animals. I'm not I'm not trying to say that your woman, right? Your potential woman is a dog or a cat or an animal, right? We're conscious beings, right? With free will, right? And we can deduct, right, and reason and change and grow, right? But you know, just think of an animal, though, right? Think of a cat or a dog, right? Um, Cats, especially, right? I have like a lot of cats, and they always want to be around me. They will always want to be with me, and I don't have to force them, right, to be with me. I don't have to keep them there, like take them and like keep them there, or try to manipulate them or control them into staying with me. They just do, right? They just want to, because I'm kind to them. I treat them really, really well, right? And same can apply to women or men, right? And as this video is for guys, right? If you treat your woman really, really well, if you make her feel amazing, then she's just naturally going to want to stay with you. She's not gonna want to be anywhere else. Okay. And as far as your connection goes, right, if you guys do share a strong connection, right, and our connection, as I talked about in another video, right, is a combination of different things, right? It has to do with it's a combination of your dominant thoughts, right, of your perception of the world, right, of your um, and of your past, right? And so on, right? Anyway, so if you guys are compatible, in terms of those things, right, then you're naturally going to feel a spark, okay, and um, yeah, your conversations will flow. You will have a lot to relate on. You're gonna be able to talk about anything under the sun, right? And things will just feel extremely natural, right? And so yeah, that connection is definitely very important, right? And yeah, yeah. um, and so if you do share a connection with someone, right, um, you know a lot of people like debate, right, whether to wait until you sleep with someone, right, or not, right. I would say that it depends, right. It depends because if you do share, if you have a lot in common with someone, right, if you have a strong connection with someone, um, kind of then, and if you met at a good time, right, while you were feeling, pretty good, right, and full and complete as an individual, then if you sleep with someone like that, even on a first date, I don't think it's gonna matter too much. Okay, your energies will be mixed, right? You guys have this very similar energy, right? You guys both met at the right points in your life. I don't think it's gonna matter too much whether you sleep with someone like that on the first date or the second or the third or a month later. Yeah. So yeah, because you guys are not going to. You don't risk in this situation. You don't risk kind of picking up on a lot of their negative energy, and in turn that affecting your own energy in a negative way, right? And then affecting your life. So, so I would say that if you want to sleep with someone like that, right away, right, then you probably can. Okay, but of course you have to be the judge of that. It's really it depends on your own preferences. Okay, another thing that she's gonna care about is your maturity level, okay, and your willingness to accept responsibility for your actions and to apologize. Okay, so if you made a mistake, okay, if you're willing to acknowledge your mistake and to apologize for it, right, then that shows a pretty high level of maturity, right? You have to be pretty mature to in order to do that, right? Like for example, narcissists cannot apologize. They want to come off as someone who is perfect, right? So by apologizing or making mistakes, they that kind of shatters that image of themselves, right? So yeah, so that's what a good woman, a woman that's right for you, right, is going to look for. She's going to look for someone who is willing to accept responsibility and who is mature, right, emotionally mature. Another thing that she will care about, guys, is your courage and your dedication, your consistency, okay? There's nothing more that I dislike than an inconsistent man, okay? Inconsistency shows me that you lack the mental strength, right, to follow through with something and to finish it, right? Which means you're probably not gonna get anywhere, right? Because consistency is everything in life, right? Without consistency, you will not accomplish any of your goals, right? You will not really be able to maintain a good relationship, right? You have to, because by being consistent in every aspect of your life, right? Whether it's work, right, or a personal relationship, you show others that you can be counted on, right? That you're there and you're not gonna go anywhere, right? And they trust you, right? You build that trust through consistency. And yeah, and through consistency, you kind of, um, when it comes to women, right? If you call her, every single day, right? She's gonna start feeling very comfortable with you. She's gonna start trusting you. Like, okay, this guy, he's not going anywhere, right? He calls me every single day. He checks in every single day. I can count on him to be there, right? I can start thinking about building a relationship with him, right? Because he's there, and he's there every single day. It doesn't change. He doesn't go away for a week, right? Then comes back, then maybe comes back in another month, and so on, right? That just shows a guy who is like, he's all over the place, right? He doesn't know what he wants. He's an immature little boy, basically, right? So if you're someone like this, right, then you have to get your priorities straight, right? Don't mess with other women, right? Women have feelings too, just like you, right? And when you're inconsistent, you're messing with someone else's feelings, right? Maybe this woman really likes you, right? And by disappearing on her and then reappearing, right? You're messing with her emotions, her feelings, so yeah, there's that, right? And also you're really wasting your own time too, if you're like juggling a whole bunch of women, right? And you're calling one on one day and calling another one on the next day. You're just wasting your energy. You're getting distracted. You're getting distracted from your work, and you're not giving yourself an opportunity to actually meet the right woman, okay? Because most women will be wrong for you, okay, guys? Just like most guys will be wrong for me, right? So yeah, and as far as courage goes, right? I will talk about this one really quick too. You know, women, they look for someone, the right woman will look for someone with a lot of courage, someone who can defend her, right? Someone who will see injustice, right? And who will be able to stand up to that injustice, right? Someone who is going to defend the underdog, someone who is going to be unafraid, right? Of, to face situations that are uncomfortable, right? But that needs to be addressed, basically, right? So sometimes certain things, they're unfair, right? They're certain situations call for for someone to call them out, right? Because if they're not addressed, right, then they can potentially escalate to even worse situations, right? And so for example, during this pandemic, right? Pandemic, whatever. Anyways, a lot of injustice was done, a lot of human rights were violated, right? And if it wasn't for certain individuals, right, that I would say had a very high they had very high positions, they had a lot to lose, right? If it wasn't for them, right, then we might still have been in very terrible situation even now, so a lot of people, when our human rights were violated, right, a lot of very brave men and women stood up to those injustices, right? They stood up for humanity, right? And they spoke out, despite knowing that they could risk their being canceled, they could risk losing their jobs, they could risk losing their livelihoods, right? They could even risk being killed, right? But they still did it because they had the courage, they had the strength to go against the grain, right? Even if so that's what a woman, a high value woman looks for. Is she looks for a guy who is going to defend his morals and his rights and the rights and morals of others. I mean the rights of others, right? Um, you know, uh, Despite a lot of people going against him, right? So, so yeah, um, I think it's very important. And if anyway, so all the things that I mentioned, guys, right? If you if you're not there yet, it's okay, right? Um, just understand that your inner qualities is what makes you um, so valuable. Okay, it's not necessarily your physical appearance, right? Your physical appearance will change pretty much instantly if you're lacking in those all of those inner qualities, right? It's gonna make your physical appearance look a lot worse, right? And if you have those inner qualities, right, that I talked about, right? And you're already like physically attractive, then you're going to be even more physically attractive in the eyes of others. Okay, I believe as a society we focus on all the wrong things. We focus on the body too much, right? On our shape, right? On our abs. We focus on the looks way too much when our looks really it lasts for maybe like half a day, right, or one day. I think finding the right girl can be very easy. Okay, guys, you have to have faith, right, that eventually you'll meet the right one, but work on yourself first and foremost. Okay, work on your inner qualities, develop those. Okay, and then you'll attract a similar girl to you. Okay, you guys will both kind of deserve one another, right? And you'll make a really good match. And you guys also, you will feel intuitively when the right person will come into your life. Okay, intuition is everything, right? So learn to listen to it. If you have to rationalize yourself into a relationship, then it's probably not the right girl for you. Okay, so yeah. Peace out, guys. Love you very much. Mwah.